Hey, I'm Paris from Paris May Reads, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a monthly wrap-up of all the books that I read this past month. I got through 10 books this month, which is a lot for me. I don't remember the last time I had a 10 book month. A lot of these were arcs that I had deadlines, and I'll talk a little bit about that too. And I somehow own almost all of them, and actually the 3 that I don't own, I want to buy. So it was a really great reading month. Let's get into it. First up in the 3.5 star category is Star of the North by D.B. John. I actually thrifted this at our local library. They have a used bookstore inside and all the books are less than $2. So I bought this for $2. And then I started the month kind of in a lull between books. So the audiobook for this was actually available from my library. So I listened to it. And yeah, it just kind of missed the mark for me. I think part of the plot was, well, let's back up. Let's get into what it's about. Okay, you know that I don't like giving synopses. If you're like me and like going into a book blind, the less you know, the better. So you're welcome. This book is set in North Korea. It is a action adventure thriller, and I usually love action adventure thrillers. This one felt implausible in a couple of areas. The plot that made me dock a little bit from my star rating. And then also there is quite a bit of language, which is usually not something that bothers me. I have a pretty high threshold for language in books, but maybe because I was listening to the audio, it just was very obvious that there were lots of F-bombs. Again, just personal reading preference, but like I said, I have a pretty high threshold. But when I'm physically reading it, I can just skip over it with my eyes. But when you're listening to the audio, that it's not possible. So I also didn't really love the narrator. Maybe just don't listen to the audio. What I did love about it is the peek it gives you at life in North Korea was just so eye-opening, and how blessed we are in our country, modern day society, to have so many things we take for granted. So this is a fictional book, but it is based, the author's note, I will say, the author's note saved this book a little bit for me because he cited some sources that he used. He cited a couple of memoirs, and I just need to, I want to read more. I want to read some memoirs and just learn more about North Korea in general. So 3.5 stars is a category that's kind of in the, it wasn't for me, but might be for you. So if this sounds interesting, definitely give it a try, but I would not recommend the audiobook. In my 4-star category is The Sirens by Emilia Hart. And I have not read, I believe she has another book called Wayward, and I've not read that book. However, based off of how I enjoyed The Sirens, I want to read it. Her writing is very atmospheric, and I actually listened to the audiobook, and again, it was an arc that I received on NetGalley. And if you're interested in how I get arcs, I will link my All About Arcs video in the caption. You can check that out. I talked through NetGalley, publisher, indie author, and book tour arcs. Check that out if you're interested. So this was a 4-star for me, like a solid 4-star. The beginning has some like weird stuff going on that I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this book, but I actually did really end up enjoying it. And again, it's kind of like dark, atmospheric, broody vibes. It's like a little bit magical realism fantasy. I would say more magical realism than fantasy. And the lore in it was just really fun. So, and also the audiobook narrator was amazing. She did a really great job. So would recommend this if this type of book sounds like it's up your alley. My quick takes are 4 out of 5 stars. Language is strong. Not as much language as Star of the North, but strong language. Spice, there were a few instances of fade to black and one vague open door scene that was in the past. So no explicit content. And then other content is infertility, miscarriage, and assault. Additionally, with this book, there was a dual timeline happening, which I always love a dual timeline. Sign me up. It just adds so much more depth to the plot, and it's almost like a mystery they're trying to solve too. So there's a mysterious dual timeline, lore, atmospheric. I mean, it's just, I really enjoyed it. And again, I got this on NetGalley through my publisher program with St. Martin's Press, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. Okay, second book in my 4-star category is an Agatha Christie, and I will be buying this book. I do not own it yet, but it is Crooked House. It is a standalone, so it is not part of her Miss Marple or Hercule Poirot series. So I've been reading a couple of Hercule Poirot books, and so getting into Crooked House, the pace felt a little bit quicker than Hercule Poirot. The banter and wit was really fun. All the characters were so unique, and the plot twist was kind of insane. If I did order star reviews, this would probably be a 4.25 for me. But again, just the Queen of Mystery, cozy mystery. I have started turning to Agatha Christie for like my palate cleanser in between big heavy books or like my big fantasy series reads. And I just really love the slower paced cozy murder mystery. So my quick takes on this one are, we're gonna go with 4.25 stars out of 5. Language is mild, spice is none, and content is murder. It's a murder mystery. So no surprise. My one nitpick with this book is that the ending felt pretty sudden, and they're like, it's a family dealing with grief because the grandfather has died. And then there's other deaths throughout as well. And I feel like literally no one grieved. Need space for these characters to grieve. So it was, like I said, a fun palate cleanser book to read between different genres or some heavier or longer novels. Oh, and I listened to the audio on this. There are so many Agatha Christie books on audio. I use Libby and Hoopla with my library card, and there's always an audiobook of hers available. So it's super easy to pick up her books. If you have a public library card, check out the Libby and Hoopla apps and see if your library has good options in their catalogs of those apps. Not all libraries do Hoopla, but most are on Libby, and see if there's some Agatha Christie in there for you. Okay, the third and final book in my 4-star category is my monthly read along, and this month's pick was Mortal Queens by Victoria McCombs. She's an indie author. Well, I want to say indie. She's with Enclave, but it's like a smaller publisher. So maybe she's not indie. I'm still trying to figure out all the different levels of publishers and authors. So anyway, she has lots of YA fantasy books, and this is the first I've read of hers. I plan to read more. This is a duology, so next month I'm reading the second book, which is Lethal Kings, for my monthly read along. And if you want information on that, I'll put my Fable link in the caption. Children are having quiet time downstairs. If you hear them, they're playing. So on my ratings, I put an asterisk on this. So adult Paris, where like currently me reading it, gave it 4 stars. But high school Paris would have absolutely loved this. 5 stars. I would have eaten it up. This is a true YA, which I just really love when an author can put out a true YA that is targeted for teens, and this would be a great one for high schoolers. And it is no spice, no language, and it is technically a romantasy, I believe. So just was super successful, and again, I believe it is a true YA. I went into this book with no expectations, or at least that's what I thought, and then as I was reading it, I kept thinking, okay, I did have some expectations because this is not what I was expecting. It was very strategic based and like not action packed, so it's really great for intro fantasy readers, like new to the genre. The world building was really easy to follow, and it's a single point of view, so you're only having to follow one character. I do believe there's going to be some action in the second book because it seems like McCombs is setting the groundwork for that. The female main character was trained by her father to fight. Her and her brother like dueled each other growing up, and her dad taught her. So I feel like that's coming in the second book, and we'll see. There were a couple twists at the end that I did not see coming at all, and not a normal twist like you would think of, but I'm like still kind of thinking about it. I finished this last night at like 12 a.m. So yeah, I'm still kind of thinking about it, and yeah, it just was not what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to get back into the second book, which I figured would be the case, which is why I put this off until the end of the month to read it, because I am planning to jump right into Lethal Kings by her and keep on going. So my quick takes on this are 4 out of 5 stars, asterisk, high school Paris we get 5. It was just really good. Language, none. Spice, none. Technically, kisses only. Content is death and manipulation. Again, would highly recommend this for YA readers. It is very age appropriate, really great for teens and high schoolers. Would highly recommend for that age group. Starting off my 4.5 star category is Tempest at Anabell's Lighthouse by Jaime Jo Wright. I am just obsessed with Jaime Jo Wright. If you are a suspense thriller reader, you have to check out her books. This one was super successful. I've only read 2. I just thrifted the third one, but the other one I've read is Spectres in the Glass House, which released last year, and it was a 5-star read for me. This one I gave 4.5 stars, and it's set on a lighthouse in Michigan. I think in Michigan. It was on a Great Lake. This is my toxic reading trait where I just forget what happened in the book after I read. There's a lot of really fun lore and legend, and I will say if you're worried about paranormal elements, Jaime Jo Wright says that she writes kind of akin to the Scooby-Doo. Not that her writing is silly and stuff like Scooby-Doo, but the monster and like ghost aspect, by the end of the book, the sheet has been pulled off and you know who did it. So there may be paranormal themes, but they're not part of the plot twist and the overarching story. So I don't think that's a spoiler, but I actually didn't know that when I was reading Spectres in the Glass House, and that might have been why I thought it was so creepy. Because it definitely has the ghost themes. But yeah, it's not part of the twist. So there you go. There are also really light faith themes throughout her books as well. And there is a dual timeline in this book and multiple 2, maybe 3 points of view. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. I also think I really love her books because they're successful in suspense, but also what you don't get normally in thriller and suspense novels is like the redemption arc. And this had that. So I just really love that kind of full circle coming to redemption in the character arc moment for the thriller genre, because you just usually don't see that. So I really appreciate that about her books. Okay, quick takes. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Language is none. Spice is none. Content is struggling marriage, murder, abuse, and past off-page child abuse. Again, if you are looking for suspense with light faith themes and a redemption arc, Jaime Jo Wright. I will be reading more of her books this year. Like I said, I just thrifted another one, and I believe she has another one. This one's just released April 2025, and I believe she has another one coming this year. So she's got lots in the works. Final book of my 4.5 star category is Blood and Treasure by Ryan Pote. Again, this is another arc, and he is actually getting published by Berkeley, but Mr. Reads and Mr. Reads, my husband, is the one that found Ryan Pote, and the endorsements on this are wild. Like, so many great thriller authors, like action adventure, political, military thriller authors endorsing this book, and I saw that it was being compared to Dan Brown, and there's not going to be endorsements on here because this is an arc. But yeah, just everything about it, I was like, we need to read his book. And Cameron actually had already pre-ordered his Kindle book and then started following him, and he was so generous in sending Cameron a physical arc, which I ended up reading because I also got the Kindle arc on NetGalley, and Cameron only reads on his Kindle, so he read the Kindle arc. And I read this one. But yeah, really, really excited for this release. It is a very successful action adventure thriller. If you like Dan Brown or National Treasure, this one's for you. And it's a debut. Successful debut. The plot in this is action-packed from the get-go. I mean, it starts off in space, okay? We're starting in space and like NASA headquarters. There are multiple points of view, multiple locations around the globe, and the main character had underdog energy, which was really fun. I should have Mr. Reads come on here and we can talk about this book together, but he kept telling me, I just feel like the bad guys are gonna win. Definitely an underdog feel to this. I will say the main character, which this might have been intentional, the main character is really still shrouded in mystery. Like, I feel like we don't know him, and I want some like deep character development. I need his backstory. Also in this plot is a religious element, and I don't want to give too much away because it's actually really fun. Let's see, I don't know how to say this without like giving it away, because I kind of want to just make you read it and figure out what I'm talking about. There are different religions that are like, let's see what I say in my review. Sometimes what I write in reviews is way better than what I can say on here. The multifaceted religion-based treasure hunting was a fun added detail throughout the plot. There you go. The bad guys are actually Muslim terrorists from the Middle East, but they're all hunting for the same treasure. And there's also a character who was in the Mossad, which is Israel's military intelligence. And so there's like Jewish threads, there's Muslim threads, there's Christianity threads, and they're all woven together. And there's some other threads too from different religions. And I have a religious studies minor, and I loved that aspect of it. There's also a little bit of science in there too, which was fun. It was just all just very successful, I thought. So this releases in July. I'm gonna be posting more about it. So it's just a really successful debut. Definitely check this out if you like National Treasure or Dan Brown. Kicking off my 5-star category is the only romance I read this month, which was a good change of pace. I feel like I was overrun with romance for a while, and that is just not the genre. I mean, I've been enjoying them. I gave this one 5 stars, so I obviously have enjoyed the genre, but that is just not my go-to genre. I'm very much more the thriller, action, adventure reader. But this was a 5-star, and it is none other than First Love, Second Draft by Becca Kinzer. She actually was the first romance, it's actually Romcom. She was the first romance/romcom author that I read when I joined and made my Bookstagram account. So I will easily cry in a book, but it is hard, very difficult to get me to laugh out loud while I'm reading. She does it. I laughed multiple times. I actually listened to the audio of this. I did get this as an ARC from the publisher, which is Tyndale. And I actually own, so this is her 3rd book, and I own all 3. And I believe I've given all 3 5 stars. So if you want to read a no language, no spice, laugh out loud, charming, funny, witty, banter-filled plot and characters, Becca Kinzer is the author you need to check out. While this is technically a baseball, okay, it's not even, I want to say it's technically a baseball romance, but the male main character is a former baseball player. Like, he just left the major leagues. So I would just say it's a rom-com, and there happens to be a baseball player as one of the main characters. Additionally, with this book, which I thought was really a fun change, there was a 3rd point of view. So you have the female point of view, the male main character point of view, and then her nephew had a point of view, and he had his own love story. And I just really love that aspect of it. I think in the romance genre, at least of what I have read so far, there's either a single point of view or a dual point of view if you have like both love interests points of view. But having the 3rd just added so much more to the plot and more to the character development. I thought it was really successful and a really fun change of pace in the romance genre. My quick takes are 5 out of 5 stars. Language is none. Spice is none, or kisses only. The content is divorce, parental death, traumatic childhood, and miscarriage. I say divorce, but it's a second chance romance. So they were married and got divorced, and now it's their second chance. So there is some really great redemption in this book, which, like I mentioned earlier, I love to see. So if you're looking for a rom-com that will make you laugh, this is it. You are not ready for this next book. I am obsessed with it. I just got this delivered. I finished it a couple days ago, and I ordered it on Amazon, and it just got delivered 20 minutes ago, right before I started filming this. So perfect timing. And I just had to have the physical copy because the cover design is what initially drew me in to the book and piqued my interest. And then I started following this author, and he's an indie author. And it's just all so successful. So the book is Depths of Vanalf by Brady Hunsaker, and he's an indie author. He has other published books. He writes YA fantasy, and this is so successful. There's multiple points of view. He's setting up an epic fantasy. The realm has, like, people are referencing it to Dungeons and Dragons, but I've never played or know much about Dungeons and Dragons. But I will say there's a big element of like the video gaming, you're defeating levels of bosses type thing throughout. And it's also based around Norse mythology. And there is also achievable magic is what I don't know how else to describe it. You can get magic if you beat all the bosses type thing. This is a YA. There are a handful of points of view. I actually listened to the audio. My library somehow had it. This just released. So big one from my library having the audio already upon release. And let's see what else. I just have so much to say about this book. He prioritized the cover design and got a big name illustrator to do this, and it is so successful. This is gorgeous. It looks like a painting and so much more in real life than what you see online or in pictures. It's beautiful. I love that the hardback is printed onto the hardback, like hardcover copy, because I'm not a dust jacket gal. And there is also like character art within the book. Hello. Each chapter has there's just so much fun detail in this book. And again, I listened to the audio and it was very successful. There's 5 different narrators, so each point of view has a different voice, and it was just so fun to listen to. Once I started it, I just binged it, and I think I read it in 2 days. So I was not planning to read 2 successful YA fantasy books this month, but I did, and so this one would be a super great book for high schoolers too. There is one character that kind of has a cheesy name, but knowing that it's for the YA genre, I kind of love it. So if you can get past that, I think you will just really love this book. As this is a YA book, and as a parent and thinking about my girls one day reading at this level, I think this book has so many character qualities like leadership and working together as a team, and it is very stark, right versus wrong, and being intrinsically motivated to do the right thing because it's the right thing. And I just really loved those themes throughout the book. So there is magic, and the characters are all basically fighting monsters that come into their country, onto their island. And all of the creatures, there's like a wide range of monsters and creatures. The monsters are magical and some are mythical, and it's just a really fun mix. Lots of action. I binged the audio and I loved it, and I just can't wait to see where this series goes. This book is also on Kindle Unlimited, and I'll put a link to Kindle Unlimited in the caption. If you don't have it, you can get a free trial. And if you flip through it on the Kindle app, or you have like the Colorsoft Kindle, these character illustrations are all in full color. I got it on Kindle Unlimited and flipped through the color images because they're beautiful. So again, just obsessed with all of this. I read a lot of 5-star books this month. Like I said, I don't usually read 10 books, and I had so many arcs this month that I had deadlines on that I didn't even realize until the end of last month, that I was like, oh, all those arcs I was signing up for a few months ago are due like now. I kind of backed myself into a corner, but I made it, and I read a lot of really amazing books. And next month I have 0 arc deadlines, so I'm really excited to just read what I want to read. But I did sneak in, I think because I had so many arcs I had to read, my mood reader was prioritizing books that I wanted, like really wanted to read, like The Depths of Vanalf. And then this one, which is next on my 5-star list, which is You Are Fatally Invited by Andy Pliego. And it is a murder mystery / thriller. It's a locked door thriller, which means everyone is forced to stay together. They're all on an island. Forced proximity. And I will tell you the premise of this book because it gives like really strong Glass Onion vibes, and I do not rate thrillers 5 stars very often, so I loved this book. I aspire to own the hard copy of it. I read it on Kindle via Libby from my library, and I binged it. I read it real quick. This is also a debut. Like, I am so excited to see what else she does with her books, and yeah, all the things. So anyway, the premise of this is that there are all these thriller writers who are invited to a private island for a writing retreat, a week-long writing retreat by a very popular, very successful thriller author who's been in the industry for like 20 years, but is anonymous. So no one knows who the author actually is. They just have a pen name that they write by, and they have never appeared in person or given interviews or anything. So no one knows what they look like. So they're invited to his private island, and everyone is a suspect, and no one's safe. There are multiple points of view. I will say the one area that kind of got muddled a little bit is that there were so many characters that I kind of got them like mixed up a couple times. So I was like, wait, who am I reading again? It was really just 2 people I kept getting mixed up because everyone was pretty distinct. Again, I didn't think that was unsuccessful at all because I gave it 5 stars. Love this book. Like I said, this made me think of The Glass Onion. If you like Clue, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I mean, it was just so good. I will say, surprisingly, there was some redemption in the end, which again, I was like, yes, where? Like, yes, the thriller books with the redemption. So yeah, there was, I'm not going to say anything else because it might spoil it, but I really liked seeing that at the end, the characters weren't like, yeah, I got revenge. You know, it was like, I have matured. This was a very successful debut thriller. Highly recommend. It is like half murder mystery, half thriller. So if you haven't fully stepped into the thriller genre, I think this would be a really great book to try and see if maybe there are some thriller books out there for you if you are already enjoying murder mysteries. And finally, the other book that I'm reading for book club, not my book club, but one that I'm in, and that is Valor by John Gwynne. This is the second book in his series, The Faithful and the Fallen, and this is an epic fantasy series, and there are literally all the points of view. I'm still trying to remember characters. He introduced some new characters in the second book, but yeah, there is nonstop action, good versus evil, and it was a 5 stars. I mean, I binged this audio. It was like a 26-hour audiobook, and I binged it, and I did like immersive reading type thing where I'm listening to the audio and semi-following along in the book, and then when I want to underline something or tab it, I do that. So love reading like this for epic fantasy books. I will say I've been listening, so I listened to this one on Audible, and I listened to the first one on Audible, and I also have a free Audible trial link that I'll put in the caption. But I've been basically going month to month with my credits and using them every month, and I just got, like, perfect timing, I just got the third book on audio from Libby, because I put all of them on hold when I started the first book, and of course they never come up on time. So this the third book, Ruin, I just got it on my Libby hold, which is the perfect timing. So I'm planning at the start of next month to binge the third book. I mean, like, I literally binge these on audio. The narrator is doing a fantastic job with the audiobooks, so highly recommend this series. I will say this is epic fantasy, and if you're not up for that challenge to navigate character points of view, maybe don't do this one yet. Maybe read some other fantasies first. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I am so excited to continue on with this series. There is, like, so much nuance and depth to his characters, and I'm just really excited to see where it goes. And it ended on, like, a huge cliffhanger, of course. So very excited to dive into the third book next month. That's it for all my books this month. I hope that I have inspired you to read or look into a new author or pick up a new book that you wouldn't normally. Let me know in the comments what you think about any of these books and if you've read them. If you're not already, you can click on my face right here and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you go check out this video right here. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good one. Go check that one out. As always, until next time, I hope all of your reads are 5 stars.